All right, salut tout le monde. Hey, everybody. We are here. We're finally live. I am here with Kay, who is my co-host tonight. I do apologize about I had a slight delay there as Discord and I got into a big fight right before we went live there. So it was a fight about updates that I lost. I lost the update fight. So,
Yeah.
Kay, first of all, how are you?
I'm good. I'm good. It was a later game and it felt later because it was the way it happened.
Yeah, absolutely. And well, I mean, let's be honest, it wasn't the most exciting Montreal Canadiens game so far, but I feel like there were some silver linings there, especially against the Red Hot Wild. You know, you're looking at a team that's just dominating right now, and I thought from a defensive perspective, the Montreal Canadiens did quite well. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about Lane Hudson. We'll talk about Struble and Kirby Doc further in the show. But in the meantime, do us a favor and like and subscribe, and the same shtick we do every time. We would like you to support us if you can. Obviously, it's an independent company. We're going up against some big, heavy companies that have the monopoly right now on sports entertainment. So we can use as much help as possible. Kay's going to be taking a look at the chat because I can't get to my chat right now. And we're going to start off by, first of all, I do believe, Kay, that even though they lost, the Montreal Canadiens have actually had a couple, like three decent games, and they've lost two of them. How are you feeling about the Habs right now?
I'm honestly feeling really good about them. I think win or lose, and I hate to say it, I think in a rebuild, genuinely win or lose, it
Mm-hmm.
is how you are playing. Um, if it was a team that was competitive, I'd be like, get the points. Just get the points, you know? But right now, I'm liking the process, and I think today's game was I was impressed. I was honestly genuinely impressed. I think for most of it anyways, they were able to keep a hold of some of the details that we've seen maybe not be kept a hold of.
They allowed only, I believe, seven high danger scoring chances all game, which is amazing for the Montreal Canadiens. They usually allow seven within the first 7 minutes. Now, the unfortunate side is the Habs created two high danger chances at 5 by 5. So the defensive game was much better, but we can probably say the offense dried up. The first subject I think we really need to discuss is Lane Hudson. Now, you look at the stats, Kay, and
Hey,
he's
something happened?
yeah. Well, I mean,
Is he
he was
good?
okay, but the stats aren't as great as most Habs fans assume. For example, I just had someone saying, "Hey, he had the worst expected goals against tonight. Why is he so good?" To me, the answer is that he's playing key minutes against top opponents, right? Like that's kind of comes with the territory. How do you feel at this point in his career? Listen, we're looking at what 10 points in to start his career.
I
He's
believe it's been 15 or 16 games. Yeah.
15 years. Yeah, well, this would be 16, I believe, and then on top of it, he's a front runner for the Calder Trophy. So how are you feeling right now about Lane Hudson?
So let me bring up, as I often do, Caden Gooley, baby. No, so I remember I mentioned that because I remember his first year not looking good. And I feel like
Yeah.
sometimes still happens and it's even, I'm doing my best to learn more stat stuff, but it's a little whatever it is. But what I'm seeing is that I am I've seen it before. I've seen my eyes tell me something before, and maybe I'm not understanding the numbers as well. Maybe the game scores are just less. I don't know. My point being, I think that the numbers aren't really reflective of what Lane has been doing.
Mhm.
And as far as the points go, I how many times have we seen him like set up the perfect pass
How
for
many
like
times per
I don't
game?
know,
Yeah.
Jake Evans, Jake
Or
Evans.
Armia or
My boy,
Newhook
I love
or
him.
yeah.
Yeah, but though, like as much as I love those guys, they're not. That's not what they're there for. They don't think the same way. So it's you see the points being left on the table that
Mhm.
you would like for him to get, but it's not his fault.
I thought that Cole Caulfield the other night when he finally realized that because Lane Hudson right now is leading the league in cross ice passes through the Royal Road. So that's just a nerd way of saying high danger scoring areas, right? Like right, and if you make a goalie move, it's a vulnerable goalie. As we've seen the Habs, they have very vulnerable goalies because they have to move a lot. Um, we saw Cole Caulfield anticipate one of those high end passes the other night, and it was the easiest goal he's ever scored. So you're absolutely right on that. I think we'll get a little bit better anticipation from his teammates would be just crucial right now. But the other side of it is he's not perfect defensively, and I don't think anyone expected him to be. Right, like that's the other part of it. Tonight, I think he did great when he lost the puck, got back and stole it from Kiprizov, drove the offense. But this idea that he has to be perfect defensively is just, it feels a little ridiculous for a guy that has, fewer than 20 games under his belt, that we're expecting him. Or I don't think it's Habs fans expecting him to be perfect, but it's fans from other teams that say, well, look, if he's the best defenseman, why does he have the worst, expected goals? Well, it's his usage. It's context, right? Like that's the most important part of anything for hockey. So, first of all, Claire. Hi, Claire. How's it going? We have Claire. We have Trzak. MFM is here as per usual. And Trinka. We're going to get to everyone in the chat in a moment. What did you all think about tonight's game? Because I really think it was a good game. It's just Montreal Canadiens are having a hard time getting on the same page offensively and defensively. If they play like this for the rest of the year, they'll be a better team. But they can't get less entertaining, can they, Kay? Like, that's one of the things I feel like has happened this year, is that the Montreal Canadiens are a lot less exciting than they were last year.
I would agree. I think last game was the exception.
Yeah. The Buffalo shootout. Yeah.
It was like, it's something to do with something in the air from the matinee games. I've seen a lot of other teams' fans talk about it, and they were like, man, this is great. And I was like, it's not if you're a fan of either of these teams, but sure. So yeah, we're seeing a lot of kind of, I think fans are generally just unhappy because of many reasons, but I think one is they're just bored.
Yeah.
And nobody likes being bored. But I think especially a game like today, one of the reasons why I think they lost, and I think we'll touch on this later, is they just don't have that killer instinct. In my opinion, they don't have that killer instinct of being able to strike when they can. For example, and this is kind of off topic, but just kind of tying into why I think this team is just not capitalizing, is, for example, the Wild were down 2 forwards. That's like most of the
Eriksson
line.
and Zuccarello. Yeah, from the first period on. Eh?
Yes, and it wasn't even just some random forwards. They were forwards, right?
2 key top 6 forwards. Yeah.
Yeah, so that was a chance. You can wear those guys out because they're playing more minutes. The minutes number is going up, is what I mean. So yeah, that's just kind of what I mean. Is it's not entertaining. You're not seeing necessarily the comeback kids, even if it isn't a complete comeback. So yeah.
I assume Martin St. Louis would have loved tonight. I didn't see the post-game presser, but I get the sense he would have said the same thing as you, lack killer instinct, and it was better overall, right? Like that's when we talked about the whole learning the new system thing this year, and it is a lot to do. Everyone's saying just drop it, just go back to just your man-on-man, but at one point, if the Canadiens want to improve their overall results, they do have to adopt a new strategy. And we're going through the growing pains, right, of that new strategy. So I honestly feel, and it's crazy because the game against Seattle, where they lost, what was it, 8-2, 8-1? I thought they had a great game, like really well. And even on Monday, that was a bit crazy, but the chances were there. So like the process is getting better for the Montreal Canadiens, but in year 3 of the rebuild, I feel like people are kind of sick of hearing the process, right? They want to see some results. But
that's saying a great thing, like in the chat, something they're saying is that at some points you start to learn, you start to implement what you learn, and so you're messing up more because you're implementing, and you're taking on more. So the messing up means you're learning, which is like the best possible way we could view this if we wanted to be, in our best mood. But I get what you mean. Fans really don't, when they're watching a team in day in and day out, they don't want to see a team that's constantly just process. And if the process looks boring, if it was process, they were losing, but they looked good.
Like last year, yeah.
That's
or they were fun to watch.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, I mean, in terms of entertainment, as you mentioned, the coaches on Monday probably absolutely hated that one. So if we can get a nice mix between like Buffalo and what we saw tonight, but the other part is, yes, the Wild were missing 2 players, but they're a very good team. This is a very good team, and it's kind of scary to think that they still have Parise and Sutter's contracts on the books this year. I believe they're off next year, so they're doing this with like the mistakes of 2008 still on their salary cap hit, and that's fairly impressive. Okay, we're gonna jump to the next section that we wanted to discuss. Was Kay, you had something to say about one of the defensemen not named, Lane Hutson.
Yeah. I want to talk a little bit about oh wow, I was almost about to say Arbor Jacka because he's on my mind.
But it's the same type of discussion because that's who I was thinking of. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I Jaden Struble, I think. Love him. I love him. I've been really impressed overall by what we've seen,
Hmm.
but I think it's time for him to sit for a few games. Um, I believe that this is the second game in a row where they've given up a goal on a penalty that he took. And they were real penalties. They
They
weren't
were
like,
legitimate penalties. Yeah.
you know, they were legit penalties. And I think the reason why Arbor Jacka comes to mind is because we had the same kind of discussion with him last year where we were saying he looks good at certain points, but his penalties at some point and the not being disciplined enough is affecting him,
Hmm.
which is not I don't I wish it wasn't the case because I
But
think
but it was true.
the
It was
Jacka
true
and
with Jack.
Struble pairing
Yeah.
I think the Jacka and Struble pairing like looked good for a little while
Hmm.
there.
Hmm.
Or I say a while as if Marty keeps the pairings together for like days on end or games. But
Yeah.
like the one or two games, they looked really nice.
Mhm.
Um, but I think you're starting to see the rookiness of Struble catch up to him.
Yeah, well, and that's a fair point because they're glaring mistakes, right? Like that was a little bit of the issue with Jack Eye as well. You can identify when the mistake turned into a goal. I think what we're seeing a little bit more, we're getting him into is a little bit more of a physical Jaden Struble compared to last year, and that's where the point you just brought up there that the penalties are going up. So he's gonna have to really, ride that line. And listen, it happens often with Jack Eye, but it's happening with Struble as well. As a rookie, as a young defenseman, you're not gonna get the benefit of the doubt, right? So I feel like,
Yeah.
but you're absolutely right. This wasn't one of those, oh, Jack Eye was there, throw him in the box. Struble absolutely deserved his penalties. I will say this though, statistically, right now, he's the Montreal Canadiens' best defenseman for shot control. So you have glaring mistakes, but overall, I feel like the flow for Struble is like slowly building up. Well, we have to remember as well, Struble would play 40 games in the NCAA for Northeastern. So, he's not used to this many games, and body's just getting used to it. I feel in a couple more years, guys like Struble and Jack Eye will be just in better, not shape. It's not condition either. It's just being used to it, right? Used to that grind. So that's
Yeah.
the big thing for Struble because last year he was doing well until he hit that wall. So hopefully this year he won't hit that wall. On that note,
To me,
yeah,
I was just gonna say, to me, Struble is we see, and I wonder how it's just we have option.
Barron hasn't played in a while, right? Yeah,
Say
he is
option.
the
Yeah.
option. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But I really would like to see him in because before he got injured, I feel like he was starting to play a lot better. And I think the handedness just makes it worth it. I think this team is forcing a lot of young players to play on the wrong handedness.
I can't think of
Um,
one. I can't think of one that's been
I
forced to
can't
play
think
on
of
the
one.
right his entire
No.
career. No.
Which, by the way, have you seen the last two games? He was on the left, which was
Crazy.
fun.
And he
Yeah,
didn't. And listen,
yeah,
I know that some people dismiss this, but I don't think he's ever been injured on the left. He constantly gets injured on the right. I swear to, and it's just a theory, but I swear to God, it's because his retrievals take longer, and he's got his back to the forechecker longer. On the
yeah,
left, when he plays on the left, he can just go grab the puck and corral it. He doesn't have to go,
yeah.
Anyways, so yeah, it was crazy though. We have Caden Gooley on the left.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
what's next? Lane Hudson on the first power play.
What a shocker. Absolutely
I,
not.
yeah, I would like that at one point to see Hudson on that first power play unit, but I'll be honest, I don't think it would make that much of a difference. And Lane Hudson already plays a ridiculous amount of ice time for a rookie. He's up to 23 minutes a game without first power play usage. He's going to be a great player on the power play. We know this. It's a guaranteed. The one thing that we can be guaranteed of, because we saw he can walk the line, is that he's going to be good on the power play. It's his 5-on-5 that he really needs the reps on. So I don't mind Martin Saint Louis Like, I understand that you were leaving points off the board, and if he was on power play 1 and the forwards knew how to accept a Hudson pass, he'd have 25 points. He'd be right up there with Cale Makar. But overall, I do like the way that Martin St. Louis is doing this, because he's not relegating him to the third pairing. He's giving him tough matchups, not the toughest matchups. And, he's using him a lot at 5-on-5. And that's really where Lane Hudson has to improve, in my opinion.
I think this is one of the... I'm going to have to fight you over this one.
Oh, over Hudson? Yeah, you want more first? Yeah, okay. So you want to play the rookie 36 minutes a game? I mean, you know what? Why not?
No,
Why not?
here's the thing. I think you have to trust and it's easier said than done, but you have to learn to trust your third pairing a little bit more. You just have to play them more so you can give Hudson some less time.
Yeah.
Because I completely agree with you. I don't want him playing that many minutes. For a second, looking at his ice time for a second, I was like, wait, does he play PK too? Because that's a lot.
He has played some,
nope.
Yes. He has played some PK a little bit, yeah.
But
not a ton, not
right?
enough to... No, he's just being... Martin St. Louis loves using Lane Hudson, and as you can see tonight, he was the only guy trying to create.
Yeah. So I totally understand too, and I think right now, when everybody is so bored, again, kind of referencing our past discussion.
Yeah.
When everybody's so bored and they see potential opportunities for not being bored, they're like, why? Why aren't we? And I understand it's a complicated situation. I agree with you. I don't like the idea of him playing so much. But again, the NCAA thing also comes into it. But, and this is going to sound really like short-sighted, but let him do it right now.
Yeah, just see where he goes with it.
Yeah, if it's an issue, we adapt to it, which is seems to be one of Marty's actual, in terms of lineups, one of the things he seems willing to move on. Especially with defensemen. So yeah, that's kind of those are my thoughts on it. But I understand where you're coming from as well, because I do worry, especially with the Habs, like the stink of the, I don't want to say the word, but it's the I word, INJURY word. So yeah.
The only thing, because I'm looking right now, he's at 23 minutes a night. That is so much. Sorry, I'm trying to load up natural stat trick. So if our screen goes black for a second, I do apologize. I'm just trying to check something. But I believe he's like one of the busiest guys in the NHL already. But that, the issue there, obviously, is not because Lane Hudson's being used too much. It's there are no better options, right? Like, let's be perfectly honest. So, as much as I say you want to protect him, insulate him a little bit, but he's also your thoroughbred, right? So yeah, a power play goal, especially, I find the last few years the Canadiens have really sapped their momentum, but this year the Habs have a top 10 power play. So I don't know. I love the idea.
World.
Right? And I don't know if it's just me, Kay, but I feel like they still have a bad power play even though they're top 10. Like, I don't know. I just don't have confidence in it.
I think that I don't trust this power play. I think Caulfield is getting luck. Like, he's getting made up. Luck is making up for what he didn't have last season. So I think it's kind of reversing.
Yeah.
So I think the Caulfield situation is helping. But the one thing that's like makes me feel better about our power play, and like, I don't think that like Nick Suzuki and especially Kirby Dach are playing as well as they can. So if they're doing this well at a power play, at like when they're not playing as well,
yeah,
maybe when they're playing better, the power play will stay when the luck goes. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, absolutely.
That's kind of my cope version of it.
Well, it's just, and it's great because obviously Cole Caulfield's not going to score every third goal, but we're actually seeing a little bit more movement. And it's funny because, okay, just for fun, Lane Hudson's he's in the top 30 for the busiest players in the NHL. And I don't think that, again, it's not an issue. It's the fact that they don't have more more of them around. And you know who else is in the top 15 is average is Arturi Lehkonen has 25 minutes tonight so far in his first five games. Either way, we're seeing Martin St. Louis. I think one thing he's done really well since he took over is just not doing the classic, the rookie has to work his way up through the mud. Like, yeah, Slavkovsky, it was a rough first year, but he's the one that came in on year 2 and told the GM, hey, don't send him to Laval. Like, oh, fine, I will put him on the first line. So I feel like Martin St. Louis has been pretty good in terms of giving opportunities to his young players. I know there's a lot of criticism, for example, Kapanen or Heinemann at times, but overall, especially in Montreal, where the idea of a rookie like playing on the blue line was crazy, and he's had 7 every year, I feel like Martin St. Louis has done a pretty darn good job giving chances to opportunities to players just like Lane Hudson.
I would agree. I think that's one of the really positive things about him is that we're not seeing a player like Hudson punished for his mistakes.
Oh, isn't that great?
Even like a player like Mayu when he was up, and I do think it was the right decision to send him down eventually. Because we were seeing what is the issue that we've been told is generally the thing he needs to work on, which is defensive.
All things defense. Yeah.
Yeah. So even then, but like even with him, Marty was giving him chances to go out again.
Yeah.
And try again. And then I think eventually it was like, okay, well, this just isn't working, so let's let him cook. So that's one of the things that like I really appreciate about Marty. And we saw this, I think, from a necessity point of view. Because at one point we had like 5 out of 6 of our defensemen were rookies.
Yeah.
And the average for that 1 year was 4 out of 6 were our rookies.
And Lane Hudson wasn't even there,
Forced to.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Fair enough. I mean, and these are
so
minutes
I don't think he had much of a choice. And I think he saw the world didn't end. You know what I mean? Like he saw that like it wasn't the worst thing that could ever happen that happened because he gave a rookie a second, third, fourth chance, honestly. So yeah. I think that's one of the things I really, really like about Marty.
Yeah, it's born out of necessity, but even then, I still feel like he's been great. I guess I'm used to guys like Jacques Martin, right? And Michel Therrien that would like punish, good players for being young. And it's funny because I criticize them, but every other coach, right? We're seeing it right now. Even Mishkov is getting benched for the Flyers. I think he's leading all rookies in points, and he just scored the game-winning goal, right? So it's just this attitude towards it.
It was a sick goal.
It was was it? Well, it's funny because I'm watching the rookie race right now. So did you see the 2 players that Mike Johnson said would be in the race ahead of Lane Hudson? They called their race.
Mishkov was there.
Yeah, Mishkov was there. And the other one, the Habs could have drafted him.
Stankoven.
Yeah. The Habs could have had all 3 of those.
Man.
Stankoven, Mishkov, and Lane Hudson. Yeah, they could have had all of them. Listen, I don't want to get back into that whole...
I would have taken 2 out of 3.
Exactly.
I would have taken 2 out of 3. Come on.
And it's funny because when I was there, right, with the Canadians when that whole Mayu thing happened, and shout out to my boss. She's like, no, we're not putting you on the air. I was the first one that was going to have to talk to fans. She's like, absolutely not. This is not your decision. She allowed me to completely, circumnavigate it. But at the time, I remember I was sitting there. I forget his name, but the guy beside me were like, Stankoven. It's got to be Stankoven. It's got to be Stankoven. And did he go 47 to Dallas? I think he went like mid-second round, didn't he?
Man, I don't know. Dallas is just really good at getting... they're
quality
just really
guys.
Good at drafting. Yeah.
It's funny because
Which I hate.
Yeah, right?
I hate it.
We had one of their scouts for the Quebec region was always at the Laval Rocket games. Great guy, super nice, really friendly. And I kept telling him, like, I love your draft picks, guys. Like, especially the Ottinger year with Hiskinen and all that. And he was saying there was so much pressure from up top to get these guys to start rolling. And that was 2 or 3 years ago, right? So it's kind of a good story for the Canadians in the sense that people can recognize good drafts, but it will always take a little bit longer for these guys to come into their own. And Dallas stayed very, very loyal to their scouts. But even with those amazing hauls, there was pressure for them to kind of blow it up and start over again. So a nice little lesson for fans that are maybe being a little bit impatient about the Habs. But at the same time, Kay, I hate it when I go online and I see people like just be like, "Oh, you're not allowed to complain about the Habs." There's some things we can discuss, we can complain. There are always aspects to
You
improve,
mean
right?
there's not nuance on the internet? There's not nuance on the
Right?
internet?
Yeah, and the people that pay money to go see these games will always have a right to discuss what's happening with the team, right? So,
Yeah.
yeah, I guess once in a while it's okay to remind everyone to rebuild, but just the constant, no, you can't criticize anything about the Canadians. That's getting to be a little bit much because we're seeing a team right now, especially just the overall depth of their forwards is still terrifying to me. I know defense has been the issue, but I still look at that forward lineup and let's talk about that. You wanted to talk about Kirby Dach on the top line. How are you feeling with the first line combination, second line with Caulfield, Evans, and Newhook? They did okay tonight.
Did you just hear yourself, Mark? Second line with Caulfield, Newhook, and Evans.
Yeah, this wasn't
Second line with.
wasn't he on the second line?
No, you're right. No, you're right. I'm just
Okay.
saying, think about that
Oh,
concept. You
Jake
know what I
Evans as
mean?
a second line center. Yeah.
Tuesday. Sorry, I didn't say that. But
I no, I actually I had to double check before I wrote my preview because I wasn't sure if Evans was still there. But listen, he's having a great year. But if he's your second line center, yee.
Yeah, yeah. I'm just really concerned about. Okay, I am doing my best to be patient
Yeah.
because I know that there's the injuries, there's the, there's the injuries, there's the injuries, there's the who does he have
Yeah.
um conversation there, but I'm I I don't think I'm exaggerating. I might be exaggerating, but I don't think I'm doubling down. I'm not exaggerating when I say that Kirby Doc at 2C is very, very important to the rebuild.
Mhm.
We need a
Absolutely.
2C.
Mhm.
And we need a 2C who's in our group. I don't think that like I'm it's also like I'm seeing maybe some improvement for Doc on the wing, and it's nice to see, but I'm not seeing so much improvement that it's like we have to keep these guys together.
No.
Um, so what are your feelings kind of on where Doc's at?
Tonight was the
Hi,
first.
Claire.
Oh. Tonight was the first night I think where the first and second line actually had positive possession numbers. So
Yes.
from that aspect, encouraging. I feel like Kirby Doc's timing is still way off, and oftentimes I feel like he's trying to prove himself. Like I understand that he's frustrated the last 2 years and he wants to pull out those nice dipsy doodle plays. Hey, we all wake up on a Thursday and put on our fancy pants once in a while, and get as fancy as we can in our fancy pants. And I understand why he's trying to make those crazy plays, but I'd like to see him kind of go back down to basics, right? Like his passing has never
Yeah.
been his passing has never been elite. Let's put it that way. Um, I would like to see the guy that basically drove the possession into the offensive zone as he did last year, and then shuffle it off, get your cycle going, because the Habs are actually really good at two things this year: the cycle and the forecheck. They're surprisingly great in that. So if Doc can get that puck 200 feet away, that's a plus. But I feel like he really wants to show everyone that he's the guy
Yeah.
we thought he was last year. And
Yeah.
when you try to make everything fancy, sometimes you tie a few bows on there, a few too many bows, and you kind of forget the gift, right? So we're seeing the first line, second line played better today, but Doc was hitting in the
Man,
chest.
I don't know if people will agree, but I really like Slav. Um, out of all six of those,
Yeah,
I really like Slav. I know people are expecting more and more, which I think is fair, but I
yeah,
think people
he's still 20. I mean,
fair in more as in more than we saw last year, as
yeah,
an improvement, which I think is fair.
mhm,
But I think we are really starting to see shades of what Slav will be
mhm,
uh when when his big boy body has like he's fully in control of it instead of like gazelle, you know what I mean?
right.
um which I'm already seeing him get better at. So I've really enjoyed watching Slav. I know it's not like the highest bar considering what the rest of our top six has looked like, but I think honestly I think today's game was better across the board for the entire top six. I'm just concerned about Kirby Doc.
I think the big thing with Dog and Slavkovsky that stood out tonight was the accuracy wasn't quite there. So you're seeing guys that want to shoot pretty quickly because the chances aren't great. But of the two high danger chances, I'm pretty sure one was Doc and one was Slavkovsky, and it hit the logo, like it hit the lake inside the Wild logo. If by the way, if nobody ever noticed, go look at the Minnesota Wild logo. It's actually like a relief, eh? It's like a country scene with a lake and stuff. It took me 20 years to figure that out.
Me
But
too. I only knew that when you said it, when
yeah,
you tweeted it, Mark. That's when I learned that.
right? And yeah, it's kind of like the Phillies. I used to, I never understood that it was anyways. I have an issue with their logo a little bit. And what's a wild? What is a wild? Okay, isn't that more of a concept? But overall, the accuracy was the issue tonight, right? So I feel the guys are really just trying to get the shots off as quickly as they can. Oh, Claire left already. Oh, geez, sorry, Claire. Bye, Claire. We have Jean is in here, and who's saying Doc should be benched. Pierre Lalonde mentions Doc should be benched. I'm not quite at that point yet, but right now things aren't really working in terms of actually getting, pucks in the net. I don't see the long-term value. I'm just right there with UK. You can find good wingers a little bit anywhere. Like the difference between Kirby Dach and Alex Newhook as a winger isn't that significant because they're not carrying the puck, right? Now the difference between Alex Newhook winger and Kirby Dach center, huge. But I'm there with you. You can't have a team that's going to succeed with Jake. And I'm sorry, I like the guy, but Jake Evans, 11 goals is his highest all time in his career. He's your second line center. It's asking a lot from Evans, who's doing as much as he can. And let's be honest,
Yeah.
Alex Newhook runs really, really cold and then hot and then really, really cold for a while, right? So I still look at the Canadiens as a team that needs a second line. And ideally, I thought they had that big part with Doc, but they're just going to have to put him back at center. And I know they worry about the faceoffs, but if he was like last year and he was losing faceoffs but carrying the puck more than anyone else, perfect. This year, losing faceoffs and getting outshot, it's a bit rough. And as you meant, like he's not a rookie anymore. He's been back for a few games, so it is fair. It is fair to expect a little bit more from Doc and Slavkovsky. What I want to see from Slavkovsky is him carry the puck a little more often, but for some
Can I just
reason,
be petty for a second, Mark?
yeah,
I
you can
just
always
need to
be
be
petty. I
petty for
love
a
being
second.
petty.
I'd
Yeah.
like to I'd like to remind everybody that at the start of last season, people were ready to throw away the concept of Nick Suzuki playing higher in the lineup than Kirby Dach.
Oh
I
yeah, people were saying he was the
the
first line
play,
center there, Doc. Yeah.
the play or whatever, all those things. I just think, listen, I'm gonna be really petty about this.
Go for
You,
it.
how can you look at the body of work? You know what I mean? Like there's the body of work. It's not like you can't just, oh, should I like look at like Alex Newhook in his hot streaks and be like, oh, this guy is now the first line winger? And I'm not saying Doc's a bad player. I'm just saying I think people just really, I'm tired of the Nick Suzuki disrespect.
It's
I'm seeing
endless.
people be better about it this year, and the end of last year, I've seen them be better, but it's just constantly he's coming back. He's a bad captain. He's not fiery enough. I'm sorry. Are you in that room? Do you know? Do you know who the last captain of the Montreal Canadiens was? Do you want to tell that guy he's not fiery? Do you want to tell him the guy that he thought would be the next captain is not the right captain? Sorry. I
No,
needed
it's
to get
fair.
that out.
It's fair.
I needed to get that out.
Nick Suzuki, and it's ridiculous that people talk to he'd be a good second line center on a good team. He's a good first line center on a bad team. Imagine if he had teammates. Why would he suddenly go down the lineup if he can do it on a bad team? He can clearly do it on a good team. So that entire argument is absolutely terrible. But I'm with you. I feel like last year people were so quick to say, "Oh yeah, Doc is going to be." Yeah, then he went away for the whole season. But even after that injury, they're saying, "Oh, once Doc's back, I'd like to see Suzuki maybe drop down." Ridiculous. Nick Suzuki has been their best player since he's joined the team, and he commands the respect of everyone in that room. I'm just gonna put it that way. You can be loud and boisterous. Trust me, I know all about that. A loud and boisterous leader doesn't always work. You want the guy with a stoic approach, right? And
Mark, you're talking to somebody who's like a big Nathan McKinnon fan.
well, there you go.
Uh,
I mean, he's a little too sour
Gabriel
though, right?
Landeskog.
Like I feel
That's
like
no,
Nathan.
I was gonna say
Yeah.
but he's a scream at the guys until they get it.
I don't
I
like that.
will be an
I hate that.
independent defender. I know.
He would
It's a
scream at
different
them if
kind
they
of
get
thing.
candy, though. He probably hid in the candy bags that are given to the kids, and he was giving out toothbrushes, and I don't know. I get the feeling Nate McKinnon does not enjoy fun very much, but he enjoyed a Stanley
No, that's
Cup,
what I'm
so
saying is that exactly. And you also like that's why you have a player like Gabe Landeskog when he was playing, be
mhm,
the
mhm,
captain.
mhm.
You have Kale McCarr, who's a calm guy, be one of the assistant. So I think that's why you have a leadership group to fill the different like you need mom and dad and like stepmom and stepdad maybe. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
you need all four.
yeah,
You need all
absolutely.
four around.
As Denis, our buddy Denis, in here saying, yeah, Dak was out for a year. Yeah, it's and we're gonna have to keep this in mind when Laine comes back. It is so
Yes.
difficult to get into that rhythm. We're even seeing Doc right now. His timing is a lot better than it was, but it's still terrible. So, we're looking at a whole calendar year without. And I honestly feel like a little bit like Max Pacioretty in the past. Doc really kind of gets on into his own head a little bit when things aren't going right. So
Mhm.
hopefully some of those can start going in. Um, we're saying.
Sorry, I cut you off when you were yeah.
No, go for it.
Sorry, I cut you off
You should
to
always
get
cut
my
me off.
rant
I
in.
talk too much. Oh, well, no, absolutely. The amount of disrespect for Nick Suzuki is ridiculous. The other day when they lost, I forget which game, but I was saying like perfect night for a players only meeting, right? And it's not to disrespect
Yeah.
Martin Saint Louis. There's more at
No.
play right now than Martin Saint Louis. And I got a bunch of responses saying, "Oh, Nick can't hold that reunion. He had a bad game." Guys, that's not how it works. Okay, he's the captain, and he will do what's necessary. That's what leaders do. So, I know for a fact that he's highly highly respected. And if we get back to the other guy who he reminds me of, I won't say his name, but he was the longest serving captain, tied with Saku Koivu, and he's known as the
Yeah.
classiest player in the history of hockey. He was pretty darn calm too, right? So I'm
Yeah.
not saying he's le gros bill, but he has that same type of stoic approach. Oh, one play which was crazy. Someone brought it up here. Did you see? Okay, it was MFM.
Slav.
Yeah,
Oh.
I can't stand it
Oh.
when guys push for goalies. That's fine, but how did Gustafsson not get a penalty? Like that's crazy. I guess Price never got one when he mauled Palmieri in New Jersey. He actually should have been suspended
I
for that because it was a blocker. But that directly influenced the result of the game. There's no way around it.
no, it did. I was gonna say it feels hypocritical to come from somebody who's one of the favorite hockey videos of for me
It's
is
Price.
the one where
Oh,
no, not that one. The one where he got Kreider.
oh yeah,
He
yeah,
got
where he just
Kreider,
blockered him
knocked him
there.
down behind the back, and just stared down at him. Like that was so fun.
It was
But
amazing. But yeah, hey, listen, Patrick Roy.
you can do a lot of things. You can't do a lot of things anymore that you could do.
Right? If
You know
anyone
what
if
I
anyone
mean?
has a second, go Google Patrick Roy and Mike Gardner, and it's the cleanest body check you will ever see. It's just and Mike Gardner, he played in the 80s, 90s. He'd always score 20 goals. That's what he did. He scored 20 goals every year, just an efficient guy. And Roy just essentially full body check, like shoulder into him. And Patrick Roy was a big boy. But this is, I think it was the same year where he took the puck out. Oh no, that was the next year with Colorado, and he deep Gretzky, and he got a penalty at the red line. So if ever you want to see some fun Patrick Roy antics, you can go check out on YouTube Mike Gartner and Patrick Roy, or Patrick Roy Deeks Gretzky. That's another really good one. And it's a shame because you can't carry the puck if you're a goalie. Because he got so pissed at Colorado that he said, "I'm going to do it myself." And
Yeah.
yeah, he still got a penalty for that one.
No, the Slav was ridiculous. Slav thing was ridiculous. I
Okay,
was
well that's
so
the other
mad
part.
about
Like
that.
I don't like blaming referees, and I like the idea of not wanting to influence the game, but we all know that's illogical, right? Like by not influencing the game, you are directly influencing the game.
Mm-hmm.
There's no way that face off, and I don't like blaming losses on referees because it's like tonight wasn't the loss wasn't on them, but that one goal changed the momentum of the game. It was the only goal in the first 40 minutes, and listen, the Canadians can't afford those kind of bad calls. So the fact that the face-off was in their own zone was absolutely ridiculous because not
Insane.
only should have Gustafsson got a penalty, like Slavkovsky was held back. I think they actually did a pretty good job tonight, but stuff like that drives me
Overall,
bonkers.
yeah.
Yeah. It's
Yeah,
just
I was it's like you said, overall, but you can do it's the what is it? It's the Mike Matheson syndrome where
yeah.
you can do so much good all through the game and then you can do one thing that's just like,
What was
oh
it? He had a
man.
bad one tonight, eh? What was it? I forget. He gave the
I
puck
he
away at
had
the,
a
or was he? Was that
he had
last
a
game?
good game most of the time.
Well, yeah,
No,
that's Mike
last game he
Matheson
was
for you.
terrible. Yeah. I remember Pence Fence telling us about this when he was first traded, and I was like, ah, surely it can't be. And then,
And then it was. Okay, so we have. I think we're gonna probably wrap it up in just one. Well, not right now. We're gonna ask the chat if they have anything to say. In the meantime, Trinka brings something up that I've been thinking about for a while. He just jokes, or they joke saying, "Hey, the Habs nasty heavyweights." Apparently, Max Domi is still not looking right. Zuccarello, Eriksson Ek. Against the Senators, it was Thomas Chabot, Keith, or not Keith Kachuk. The one that always looks like he's smelling something he's never smelled. What's his name? Brady Kachuk. Right? You know, he's always like that. And who else? They knocked like 3 guys out of that game. I know the Habs aren't the meanest guys in the world, but they're injuring other players at a like tremendous. Not I don't tremendous is not the right word. At an elevated rate.
yeah,
Honestly, I don't mind it. It's all in the nice clean department. So I you never want to see a guy
yeah,
injured, but I don't mind the
of
Habs
course.
having a little bit of a nasty streak, right? Like tonight, for example, I do like that Josh Anderson. Okay, that was the other play. I just said the refs had a good game when Ryan Hartman clearly
Oh,
stuck his knee out. Like that could have been season ending. And
yeah.
man, Habs fans have a pretty bad memory about one of those. Yeah, that was another thing that directly influenced the game because they caught Hudson on the retaliation. That could have been end of not career. I don't want to be too dramatic, but I'd like to see players do a little bit better job keeping their knees tucked at the blue line.
hmm hmm No, I was really glad to see. Actually, uh, I want to. I know we're wrapping up. It's something, or we're going into the questions, but just really quickly, something I
Yeah,
wanted to note was I noticed a distinct lack of shenanigans, I would say, in the losing streak. At first I was glad about it. I was like, okay, good. They're not like losing their minds. We don't want anybody injuring anybody or getting suspended or whatever.
hmm
And then at a certain point, I was like, guys, look alive.
yeah.
Are we
Show
gonna
some
look
life.
alive or no? Yeah, so that's one of the things that I liked about this game too. We lost, but we looked
You saw a little bit
alive,
of a
and
response there. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
Josh Anderson looked okay through the entire game, I think. Mostly okay.
That's just
Sorry, I just had to.
like it's like our toddler didn't poop his pants on the plane. He did great. Okay, so it's I don't know. It just feels so like he wasn't a negative impact player. Good job. Yeah. Well, one thing as Denis mentions here, we saw Mike Matheson. I really like that too on Kirill
Yeah.
Krapizov. Oh my God, I'm a little tired. Anyways, they did a good job keeping him to the outside tonight, and that's just a huge thing for the Canadians to work on, right? So, but generating chances will be. Uh, I really think the biggest issue as well is don't forget last year they got tons of goals from their defensemen. Has a defenseman scored this year? Justin Barron maybe? Who else
Caden
scored?
Goulet. Caden Goulet,
King Gooley.
maybe.
That's it, right?
Only.
Like there's 2 goals.
Only
Matheson
one.
hasn't scored,
And that's not the one you'd accept. No.
right? Matheson hasn't scored. Hudson hasn't scored. Barron maybe scored.
No.
So last year, the Montreal
Mm,
Canadiens had the highest percentage
Let me
of.
just take a look.
Yeah, perfect. Because I was trying to do that. The Montreal Canadiens have had the highest percentage, I think, tied with Colorado for goals from the back end.
Yeah.
The issue is that it's hard to depend on those, and sometimes they dry up. So we're seeing that right now. I can't remember who else. Jack Guy hasn't scored. Struble scored. Did he? Question mark. All right.
I will also check that.
Yeah, let me go check the. I'm sure Justin Barron scored.
No goals for Struble. No
Okay.
goals for Struble. One for Justin Barron.
Logan Mailloux
Didn't
scored
fail
one.
you.
I
Yes, no,
remember
Logan
that.
Mailloux scored one. Uh, Gooley scored one. And yeah, I think we've been pretty dry
Three
across
goals.
the board.
So
Yeah.
yeah, that's one of the major reasons the Canadiens right now aren't scoring a ton of goals. But hey, again, I don't feel like you can really rely on that defensive lineup to score as many goals as it did last year. And don't forget, it was different. We had guys like Jordan Harris and Jonathan Kovacevic, who are perhaps not fan favorites, but they played efficiently. And when they were on the ice, the Canadians controlled the play, which made things a little easier on the other defensemen, right? So when you tire out your opponents, it's always an advantage. I feel like this year we don't have that one pairing that's doing surprisingly well. It was Struble and Jackeye, and they're still at the top of all the defensemen, but you don't want your best pairing to be below 50% shot control, right? Like that's the major issue with them. So, all right, let's see if there's anything else in the chat, but I think we're almost ready to wrap up. If everyone could like and subscribe and all that fun stuff. We'll be back on Saturday. I don't even know am I hosting Saturday? Are you hosting?
I am. I'm hosting.
Cool.
Yeah.
Are you bringing anyone on, or are you going solo?
Somebody's gonna be there? Question mark. I'll check.
I'll jump on if we have to, but that's just that's just a punishment for you, as you saw today when we were trying to go live. The one thing I would like to note going forward, especially with these top six, you just have to start seeing high quality chances. And again, we know we talked about accuracy, but the process isn't much without that, that final, even a good scoring chance. When I'm trying to think of Suzuki and Caulfield and Doc tonight, I can't. Oh, Caulfield hit the post on the power play. That's about it for like decent chances for that top line. So I understand the Doc thing, but I'm right there with you. Just throw Doc back on the second line and work through it, right? Because these are when the growing pains are supposed to happen. So yeah, it's the Canadians just do not have enough offensive talent to load everything on the top line, and it's not really working. That's the other part. So yeah, the numbers are better, but last year
working, then yeah.
So, if they're not scoring, and this is the first time that their numbers were above 50%, yeah, but like you mentioned earlier, it's really out of necessity. That's the other part. You had nothing working. So anyways, it's going to be tough for Martin Saint-Louis
to... not separate Slav and Suzuki, though. Do not separate the two.
Absolutely. But Joshua Roy could be playing in the top six. No offense to Alex Newhook, but I think Joshua Roy is already a better player than Newhook is, even though without any experience. So I'd like to see it, but at the same time, Laval is great right now. Have you had a chance to check out what the Rocket are doing?
I haven't watched, but from what I've seen, it's...
Barré-Boulez, although he might be injured, actually. Let me go check. Either way, Joshua Roy is on pace for like 50 goals. Yeah, so he's on pace for...
So I haven't... Have you been watching the game?
Yeah, well, I go back and I watch, all of them.
Okay, because I was going to say, I was like, is it like an inconsistent? Because I see him like scoring like a lot.
That's
but it's,
what.
Is it an inconsistent
up and down
thing?
Roy will pull, and that's kind of why I was trying to explain during training camp, right? Everyone's saying, he was terrible. First of all, it was a few shifts, but that was Roy during a cold streak. But Roy, when he's hot, will more than make up for it. But he's incredibly streaky. And I kind of hate that word in hockey because almost everyone except for Alex Ovechkin and Connor McDavid are streaky. But Roy runs very hot and cold. So we're going to see, like right now, he has 13 points in 12 games, 7 goals. So I think he's on pace for about 60 goals in the AHL. As much as I'm the one complaining, saying constantly he should be in the NHL, if they can't figure out a spot on those top 2 lines, I maybe leave him in the AHL because things are happening right now. Connor Hughes is playing well. Jakub Dobeš is playing well. Pascal Vincent is, for all intents and purposes, a great coach. Logan Mailloux is... Hold on, let me go check what the points for... But Mailloux is out of this world how many points he has as well.
He's been great offensively.
Yeah.
Sure.
So 12 points in 7 games, right? So, like, things are going... And Owen Beck is almost at a point per game. Not bad, eh?
I feel like I've really been like... I've been hearing a lot about Beck this year.
No.
I think it's just too many shiny toys to keep up with.
Right? And even Jared Davidson's found his rhythm recently, so... It was unfortunate that Philippe Michal got injured early because he was at a point per game. But I think Pascal Vincent, what he's doing is he's doing what fans wanted him to do, wanted other coaches to do. It's just give the legitimate prospects an opportunity to shine, and that's always the best bet. Laval right now is one of the top teams in the AHL. So I really think there's value to not disturbing that just to make the Habs like a tiny bit better. But if Joshua Roy was here right now, he'd be saying shut the hell up because he makes literally 10 times more in the NHL. Like he'll make his season in 1 week, right? So he's probably not loving it either. All right, Kay, where can we find you on Twitter?
You can find me on Twitter at K_KAY_IWM. And I'm also on Blue Sky under Line Composition.
Yeah.
So Line
Blue Sky.
LINE Composition COM. I think it's in the description. Okay. But I'm there. You'll find a link to my Blue Sky through my Twitter.
Blue Sky. Yeah, everyone seems to be putting those up. And but you know what's funny, because we went through this several times where everyone was going to Blue Sky, everyone was going to Mastodon. I'm just old and crotchety, so I'm just gonna wait. And you know what? When everyone goes to Blue Sky, I might just like Irish goodbye everything and the end of social media. But we do want to thank everyone for joining us. We genuinely appreciate the support. I'm sorry about how long it took to get going live tonight. We'll be back on Saturday. Kay and probably someone will be covering that game. And if you could like and subscribe, we really appreciate it. Tell your friends. And make sure to follow Kay, because she's our star in the making. So that's it from all of us tonight. We will see you on Saturday. Salut tout le monde.
Bye.
Okay. Yeah, that was pretty good, actually. Oh, yeah? Oh man, yeah, I've forgotten it a bunch of times halfway through. Yeah, that was. Hey, listen, I know I was just annoyed earlier. I'm sorry about that, but that was a good show. Like it was. We really didn't have much to talk about. Yeah, yeah. Considering what we had to work with, absolutely. Yeah, yeah, definitely. Cool. Let's see if I was gonna suggest I can probably jump on with you on Saturday, but yeah, like the other part is obviously I think at one point, if you feel comfortable, like Andrew would like to see, and it's important for everyone to just to do the actual like tech part. But and until you don't get it out of the way, it's kind of like nerve wracking, right? So, okay. hmm I've never had that issue before. Son, I swear to God, that program. Even as I reset, the worst part is it started updating OBS as well, and I was like, "Oh, son of a bitch!" Like you're not. But it, anyways. All right, thank you very much. I'm gonna go. Oh, it's already midnight. Sacrament. Okay, talk to you soon, buddy. Good show. You did great. Talk to you later.